He was in the mood today, precocious in his interview. And Pidcock says, oh my goodness, what was that? I tell you, it was Tadej Pogacar coming up alongside. He's now got a bike length. Pidcock's got to struggle to stay with him. Everyone else has been deaf. There he is, 1, 2, back wheel straight out from underneath him, and he's lucky. Oh, that's very, very lucky to have got away with that. The thumb screws are twisting here, and it's Tadej Pogacar who's in control. Oh, look at this. Tom Pidcock is really being stressed out right now. This is a statement about what's to come. Don't forget the Flamme Rouge as well.
Tadej Pogacar was absolutely in a class of his own. And with just under 13 kilometres to go, last of the Strade Bianche sections within his mind, and indeed was dealt with absolutely beautifully, winning the feat of Fabian Cancellara. And so a piece of Strade Bianche history had been written, and indeed one of the famous sections would, of course, be named after him. Such was his advantage. It was a magnificent performance, especially with all the adversity that he had faced through the day.
Fight their way back into contention. Tish Pinot further back than might be advised. It's Healy got to go for a late or an early one, and that's got to be the way that the Irish rider has to play it. EF Education Easy Post, no, he's their man, and Tadej Pogacar is equal to that one, and he's left, and he's gone. Tadej Pogacar hits the steep bit, and can anyone follow? Ben Healy is left floundering. Remco Evenepoel, Vauquelin and the rest have nothing to answer that kind of pace and strength, and well, he's just floated up that climb as if it didn't exist. And Tadej Pogacar has a huge advantage now inside the final half kilometre. Still plenty of this climb remaining, and Ben Healy still in front of Vauquelin and the rest, but it's Tadej Pogacar that is going for glory here in Fleche Wallonne, and surely he's not coming back from there. Imperious form. They said he might be a little bit tired. They said maybe he should take a break after Amstel Gold. He said, I only pin a number on to go for glory and to go for victory today, and he's inside the final couple of 100 metres. The road still rises and is still super demanding. Vauquelin second in line. Remco Evenepoel, well, no, he bows his head, and clearly it's in defeat today. He's not going to get the win. He and his team took it to the rest today, but it is the UAE Team Emirates squad and Tadej Pogacar, the world champion, that is going to get the glory today unless something remarkable happens. Wonderful response too from Kevin Vauquelin. He's on fine form. Second last year. Second, surely the best that he can hope for today, because he's easing up, composing his victory celebration. He's done it again, 2 times in 3 years, and now Tadej Pogacar, another stunning podium success. This time it's victory in Fleche Wallonne 2025.
White jersey was not going to be a major function at the very end. Functioning is one thing, delivering is another, and Tadej Pogacar absolutely went for it. Trying to stay with him, Ciccone. Also along for the ride was Oscar Onley from Picnic Post NL. Everybody else looked like they'd been caught out at this time. How would they function? Finn Fisher-Black trying to stay with them. He was, of that front quartet, first to be distanced. The duo hanging on for dear life behind. Tadej Pogacar was Onley, battling royally, and also by the spirited Pello Bilbao, and indeed Ivan Romeo had a teammate in Pablo Castrillo, the big this man, and what a dish it turned out to be. A 5-star menu as always.
And then yet again, just as it had done 24 hours previously, it exploded. Pogacar on the attack, this time up the saddle. Vingegaard trying to follow as well, looking around, not able to, and with 11.8 kilometers to go, Tadej Pogacar was away. Pogacar in fine form, Vingegaard leaving Lipovic behind, but Pogacar looked like he still had more to give. 3 stage wins in the week, once on the flat, on a shorter climb, and this time in the mighty mountains. In the land of the mountain goats. 1 minute 15 behind Simmons, not even halfway up the Passo di Ganda, and nobody able to react. A sight we've seen many a time before. This time just as, if not more, impressive. The rainbow jersey taking flight with 36.5 kilometers remaining total. Simmons was reached, and he was with Pogacar until he wasn't. The American champion putting in the ride of his life, but was unable to keep up with probably the greatest of all time. seemingly, barring any incident, already having won the race. By the time he got to the climb to the Bergamo Old City, Città Alta, it was a festival of fans. And in the grand finale, a moment of celebration. Since the 1950s, only Fausto Coppi had stood alone on the top step of the Lombardy Hall of Fame. 70 years since then, and it was finally Pogacar to have Coppi keeping some company. Not only Eaklings
riders in the race, and Wout van Aert is seeing them go past him. Tadej Pogacar now turning it on. What has Mathieu van der Poel got one left? I think he's in his big gear there. He is really pressing on the pedals to try and stay with Tadej Pogacar. There's a bike lengths gap. Can he take more? What can Mathieu van der Poel do to stay with the world champion? It's cracking open, Hutch.
He's cracking. Pogacar is opening. I didn't think he was going to do this on the Eau de Quarmont on the last climb. I just thought it was going to be, too close to the finish for Pogacar to drop.
No, it's done. It is done. You're absolutely right, John. Mathieu van der Poel is turning squares and Tadej Pogacar's turning silky smooth circles. Mathieu van der Poel looks back. Tadej Pogacar's riding clear. Is this it in this year's Tour of Flanders? Tadej Pogacar going for his second win, and Mathieu van der Poel vying today to become the greatest male rider in the history. He's going to milk the crowd, but he doesn't need to, because they recognise a massive champion of our sport. If he is on a mission to complete cycling, this is just another tick, but it's a big one. He is going to win this, the 109th edition of the Ronde van Vlaanderen, and he's going to do it in the rainbow bands in the most spectacular of fashions. He took off on the Oude Quaremont, and this one, his second win, is mission complete for Tadej Pogacar. With the arms in the air, he takes the crowd. The applause of Oudenaarde, and well he might.
For Tadej Pogacar. At this point, Evenepoel was already dropped. Lipovitz as well. A look behind, left only Wellens there. Pogacar to ride around him, and just as he's been all season almost, seated, attacking and riding away. Vingegaard was there on the wheel, but then he wasn't. It started to open up, it continued to open up, and the world champion was riding away on the World Championship hill from 1980. Any question as to how Pogacar's form was, given the below par time trial the other day, was answered emphatically. He was very quickly closing that over a minute gap to Baudin, still with 6.5 kilometres to the line. The local French rider couldn't hang on for too long. Yellow jersey, still 5Ks to ride at this point. And there's already enough competition for that title. Pogacar reaching the summit. Above Sallanches in World Championship country. The rainbow jersey being swapped for a yellow jersey. Memories of Hinault, the last world champion to win this race overall, and Pogacar going a step closer to being able to shoot for.
Here goes the attack. The world champion just starts to ride away and no one follows. The tornado strikes on La Redoute, and there is nobody who's able to even go with the acceleration of the world champion, and he just demolishes the peloton. But they've just literally watched the world champion not even get out the saddle and just ride away from them. But he checks around and he carries. This rider attacked with 34.6 kilometers to go. It wasn't really an attack, he just literally rode away. The high fives of the crowd now for the world champion, because this year in all 4 monuments he's been on the podium, and now he wins 3 Liege, Bastogne, Liege. The world champion points to the sky in memory.
Pogacar then made his move. 104 kilometres to go. Evenepoel initially with him, Ayuso as well. De Broek's trying to follow, but all of a sudden Evenepoel was going backwards. Pogacar continued to advance, trying to close the gap. This was a long way for the finish, even further. Pogacar yet again was leading it. 6 laps to go on to the finishing circuits. Tadej Pogacar looking to win for the second time. Pogacar and Del Toro was still out there with 72 kilometres to go. Into the last lap and ready to soak up the adulation of the crowd, and a medal since 1989. At the finish, at the end of Africa's first Worlds, it was Tadej Pogacar
the world's greatest.
2 world championships in a row. The first man to win Tour and Worlds.
To make a statement, but the big one when it came was from none other than Tadej Pogacar himself. Teed up beautifully. Tim Wellens had done a great job. Others had helped him out as well to slingshot him up this final test, and away he went, catching MOI, not even catching his breath, but the sun, his destiny, up ahead of him. But all he could see was sunshine, and it was shining off the back of this man. Tadej Pogacar personnel hadn't had anyone in the break, but Oscar Onley had a battle plan. He tried to bridge over to Liebowitz. That was very, very strong encouragement for the German, raining down from the fans here. But really, this was all about Tadej Pogacar. If this was a statement, then it seemed like it had been screamed down the mountain by the biggest voice there is in cycling. Amazing.